I'm Dr. Jane Adler, co-author of Realizing the Promise and developer of the 7-Step System for Managing Change in the Clinical Practice. In this video, I'll tell you about a common barrier that gets in the way of successful implementation of electronic records. It's a barrier so insidious that it frequently remains undetected until after it has derailed a promising installation. In addition to telling you about the barrier, I'll also share with you some steps you can take to prevent this barrier from causing negative consequences in your practice or your organization. With EHR technology becoming more user-friendly and affordable, with financial incentives in place, and with major gains in interoperability, more and more physician practices and healthcare facilities are adopting electronic records. But while some have been able to make the transition relatively smoothly, many others have experienced implementation disappointments and failures. What makes the difference? It goes without saying that practices need to select the right systems for their needs, and they need training and support to get the systems up and running. But if that's all that's needed, then practices buying systems from the same vendor and getting the same level of training from the same implementation teams should experience pretty much the same results, correct? Unfortunately, that frequently isn't the case. The fact is, there's more to an effective EHR implementation than simply investing in the right system. There's more to it than just taking advantage of training programs and technical support. Something else is needed, and the presence or absence of this essential third factor is what frequently makes the difference between practices that get the full benefits from their electronic record systems and practices that don't. We now know that a high percentage of EHR problems and failures are not due to software issues. They're not due to systems that simply can't accommodate the needs of the practice, and they're not due to inferior technical training or support. After well over 15 years of research into the factors impacting EHR success, researchers in medical informatics have found that when EHR implementations run into trouble, when they run over time or over budget, when they cause extended productivity slowdowns, and when they lead to errors or other problems in the practice, human factors are frequently at the root of the problem. It's not that physicians or staff members mean to sabotage the systems, or that anyone wants to stand in the way of progress. It's just that for the success of a project as all-encompassing as an EHR implementation, providers and staff alike need to get actively involved in the process, not passively sit back and allow implementation teams to do their jobs. So the essential third element in a successful EHR implementation is the right human factors. Researchers in medical informatics have identified 2 critical human factors that need to be present for a smooth implementation and effective utilization of the technology. First, physicians and staff must be genuinely motivated to use EHRs. Second, they must collaborate, both with implementation teams and with each other, in order to get the best possible system configuration for the practice and to redesign practice workflows to get the best possible results from the system. The absence of these critical human factors represents a hidden barrier that can easily derail the most promising implementation. It really comes as no surprise that human factors are so critical. From our many years of working with business leaders and researching successful transitions in business, we know that when it comes to leading change, if you don't get the people part right, nothing else matters. Successful businesses of all sizes have learned that any time they are looking to implement new technology to increase productivity, efficiency, and overall performance, they need to first bring about a change in attitudes and behaviors before they can successfully adopt the technology and get better results for the business. This same change in attitudes and behaviors needs to occur within the practice in order for the implementation to be successful and for the practice to get maximum benefit from the technology. If people aren't truly motivated to make the change successful, the change is likely to take longer, it's likely to cost more, and it's not likely to ever deliver its maximum potential. While financial incentives are encouraging EHR system purchases, clinical practice owners and managers have never been given effective strategies for building staff motivation and collaboration. And having these strategies is critical. You see, in most clinical practices and healthcare facilities, physicians and staff are already busy enough. If they aren't truly motivated to use EHR technology, they won't enthusiastically apply themselves to the training. They're also not likely to contribute ideas and suggestions that would improve outcomes from the system, or even point out potential problems before they cause real damage. This can rapidly lead to a negative cycle. Let me show you how that works. Practice owners and healthcare executives may invest in the systems because they want the potential benefits, but without strategies for managing the human side of change, they can't effectively build the necessary staff motivation and collaboration. If staff members don't really buy into and collaborate with the change, even the best implementation efforts and technical support aren't likely to yield good results, so the project runs into trouble. When problems occur, and especially when these problems slow down productivity, physicians become less motivated to use the technology. This further decreases staff motivation and effort. Practice owners and administrators can build motivation for EHR adoption in providers and staff and gain their collaboration in the implementation process. Here are the steps to take. First, assess the practice's human readiness for change. It's not enough to simply assess technological capabilities, like existing hardware and software. It's also not enough to assess computer skills of physicians and staff. What you also need to assess is the level of motivation for EHR adoption, as well as the degree of collaboration and the effectiveness of communication that currently exist in the practice. Second, based on the results of the readiness assessment, build urgency for EHR adoption in providers and staff at all levels of the practice. This is the critical first step in the Realizing the Promise system. Without a genuine sense of urgency, physicians and staff will never devote the necessary time, effort, or energy to the project. Identify the right people to lead the project from here on out. The right size and composition of this leadership team will vary from one practice or healthcare facility to another. You may also need a different team to take the lead at different phases of your project. Next, identify strategic objectives for the project, but make sure that these objectives are meaningful for the people who need to carry them out. Use a systematic approach to involve all staff members in the project. This includes planning project details, modifications, and improvements, developing new practice policies, and redesigning practice workflow. Establish strong cross-functional and interpersonal communication mechanisms. Make sure that you have plans for not only transmitting information and instructions, but also for getting feedback and for rapidly converting this feedback into system or workflow changes. Identify intermediate goals. While practice leaders and executives might be focused on longer-term objectives, achieving smaller, early-stage and intermediate goals will help to build staff confidence in the decision to adopt electronic records and in their own ability to succeed with the next phase of implementation. Finally, engage staff regularly and often in evaluating the progress of implementation and in establishing new departmental and practice-wide policies and procedures to speed the EHR adoption, to enhance outcomes, and to implement future change. When practice owners and managers have a system for building staff motivation and collaboration, they can avoid or even break a negative cycle and replace it with a cycle of optimism, confidence, contribution, and success. With strategies for effectively managing the human side of change, practice owners and administrators will be better able to get buy-in and collaboration from staff members at all levels. Motivated staff members will gain greater value more rapidly from technical training and support. They will also collaborate more willingly with implementation teams. This will make early implementation successes more likely. These early wins will increase physician motivation and commitment to EHR adoption. Now, I know that this information may be a little bit controversial. After all, some people say that successful EHR adoption is simply about getting the right technology, or that it's about having a national network in place for information exchange, or even that it's about giving physicians the right financial incentives. While all of these are important, the evidence is clear. Thousands of hours and millions of dollars of research in medical informatics and change management have shown that the human side of EHR implementation is critical to success. There's no reason that this information should remain hidden away in research journals or discussed only in academic settings. Our goal at NeoVista Health is to bring the results of this research and these proven strategies for leading and managing change out to the practices and organizations where they will have the greatest impact. If you'd like to receive an article that summarizes these points, or you'd like to know when we post more videos, please click the link and send us a message. We look forward to hearing from you, and we wish you the best of success.